Today on Comic Basics, Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch. But before we get to that, if after watching the video you like what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. Created by Howard Mackie and Javier Saltares, this version of Ghost Rider first appeared back in 1990 in Ghost Rider Volume 3, Issue Number 1. To know the origin of Dan Ketch as a Ghost Rider means to know the origin of the Ghost Rider. The history of the Ghost Rider dates back to well over a millennia ago. And during this time there was a great war between the demon Zarathos and a group of immortals known as the Blood. To win the war, the Blood aligned themselves with the spirits of vengeance. However, to harness the power of the spirits of vengeance, the Blood created a mythical medallion of power. At the conclusion of the war, not only had the Blood won, but they also managed to trap part of Zarathos inside their medallion. With both the spirits of vengeance and Zarathos trapped, they split the medallion and passed it down into the spiritual bloodlines of two different families. After the medallion had been split, nothing was heard from the spirits of vengeance for many years. As with most things, however, this wouldn't last. In the 1700s, a man named Noble Kale fell in love with a woman named Magdalena. Fearing that his pastor father would disapprove of their relationship, Noble hid it. Unfortunately, when Magdalena gave him a child, their love could no longer be hidden. Furious with his son, the pastor had her branded a witch and burned at the stake. As she stood burning alive, she cursed the pastor and caused the Furies to seek vengeance against him. With nowhere left to turn, the pastor began negotiation with Mephisto. He promised the demon that in exchange for his help, he would offer up the soul of his son. Mephisto immediately recognized the medallion that the noble possessed, activated it, and turned him into a Ghost Rider. With the power of the Ghost Rider, Noble defeated the Furies. After beating the Furies, he turned his attention to his father, who had offered up Noble's son as a sacrifice to the Ghost Rider. Unable to handle what had happened, Noble attempted to commit suicide, but before he could, Mephisto appeared to claim his soul. Before Mephisto could claim his soul, a being named Uriel appeared telling him that he belonged in heaven. Of course, Mephisto didn't agree with this, and after it was all said and done, it was decided that his soul belonged in neither heaven or hell, but instead the void between the two. Worse yet, while in the void, he could be called upon the firstborn of his descendants. This means that each of the firstborn descendants could call upon the power of the Ghost Rider. Fast forward a few hundred years to the family of Naomi Kale, Dan, and Barbara Ketch. Naomi, the mother, had fled Europe for New York after learning that her children could become the Ghost Rider. Dan, the oldest of the two, befriended a girl named Stacy Dolan. As the two aged, Dan began showing affection for Stacy. And aside from Stacy, Dan quickly began showing an interest in motorcycles. One night, he and his sister Barbara were walking home and decided to take a shortcut through the Cypress Hill Cemetery. It was here that the two stumbled upon the criminal Death Watch and his murder of another man. Horrified by what she was seeing, Barbara screamed, thereby alerting the criminals of their presence. Death Watch ordered his accomplices to kill the two, and as a consequence, Barbara was shot in the chest. Dan immediately picked up his sister and carried her out of the cemetery into a nearby junkyard. Once in the junkyard, he noticed a motorcycle parked in its middle. Drawn to it, Dan walked over, touched a gas cap with his blood-soaked fingers, and initiated the transformation from Dan Ketch to the Ghost Rider. He rushed his sister to the hospital, but her injuries were so severe that she was left in a coma. Infuriated by this, he set out to bring vengeance to all the innocents whose blood had been spilled unjustly. And thus was born Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider. As far as powers go, he possesses the powers of the Ghost Rider. This means that he can project flames, possesses superhuman strength and durability, can travel interdimensionally, he carries a magical chain, rides a flaming motorcycle, and can use dependent stare. And I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks guys. Look, at the end of the day, I know there's a million YouTube channels out there, and for you to take a few minutes of your time to watch one of my videos means the world to me, and I can't thank you enough. I hope you'll come back, and until then, I'll catch you next time.